From the world of AV programming and control with James King, I'm Steve Greenblatt, and this is Ask the Programmer. James, how are you today? I'm looking forward to another good discussion.
I'm doing great, Steve. I'm looking forward to the discussion. Funny enough, is I think we started going down the rabbit hole before we hit record. So, yeah, no, it's going to be a good one. How's things going with you?
Very good, very good. I agree. I think those are probably the ones that you wish that you recorded. So we decided to uh, start it up and let's jump into this podcast. So what we started to discuss and what came up recently in conversation in the industry and was the idea that touch panels are becoming less prevalent in AV systems. Now, we don't necessarily have data around that. We just heard that idea being thrown around. So, why is that the case? That's or why would that be the case is really what we're going to discuss today. James, I'll let you kick this off because I think that you have a really good insight on it.
So, yeah, I've heard this talk among the AV industry about touch panels are going away or becoming less prevalent. Um, and it really made me sit back and think. And I've actually, again, no hard data. In fact, maybe one of these days when I go for my PhD, I'll do a research paper on it or something. I don't know. Doubt that'll ever happen. But anyway, is the public factor. Like it kind of boggles our mind, but think about it is everyone has a phone in their hand, most likely. We can't say everyone, but I would say majority of folks have a phone that is touch screen and they have no problem using it. But the second you put them in front of a class with a touch panel, I don't know what to do. Hands go up. I don't want to touch it. I don't know what to do. I'm not a tech person. I'm a math major or what, a doctor or whatever. I'm not knocking any of that. But then they'll pull out their phone and start touching their phones. It's like it's the same concept. So my theory on this is it's the public aspect of it. Because yeah, we're comfortable with our phones. We know how to use our phones. But also, if we do something wrong on our phone and we make a mistake and stuff, who do we embarrass? Or who notices it? Just us, usually. Like we are in front of a class or in front of our board or a board or in front of our coworkers or in front of an audience, and I hit the wrong button on the touch panel. Now I got egg on my face. Um, So I really, that's where my thought goes is they don't want to touch it because they're afraid that they don't know it. They're going to mess something up and they're going to look silly. So it really has nothing to do with the tech. You can have the best UI in the world and that's simple to use. I think it's that they're afraid of making a mistake. Now, okay, you have the same kind of idea with button panels. But I feel button panels are a little more um one, they're industrialized, they that tactile, they're I know I'm hitting this button or I'm turning this knob. I have that feeling. And also it's usually in their mind, a button is a one thing. I hit it, something happens. Where on a touchscreen, we don't know what might happen. It might be maybe you have to pinch it, maybe you have to slide it. A button, you either push it, a knob, you turn it. There is no guessing. A toggle, you switch back and forth. Like those are things that are easy for people to know. I need to do this action to trigger it. Where a touch panel, it's like, okay, am I pinching it? Am I pushing it? Am I holding my finger down? Like, what do I need to do? And like I said, I really think it goes back to they don't want to be embarrassed in front of people.
Oh, great points. And I think the thing that would come to mind for me would be what is the design of the touch panel? Does that factor in? um, and also the complexity of the system. What is what is the familiarity that the user has with the technology, and also is there any type of precedent being set that would allow them to say that this is something that's familiar to them? As you said, a lot of times with your phone, many of the buttons work the same way. There's more predictability, and but I think you bring up a good point. If you hit the wrong button, you know how to undo it. It's not going to do anything, because what's the worst that could happen? That you call somebody by accident. It's really not, there is not that much that's going to happen on that phone that is going to be with the external world. But if you're pressing the wrong button, it reminds me actually, if and I'm going to um, make a reference that may or may not be relevant when people listen to this in the future. But there's a Geico commercial where the gecko is pressing buttons on a lectern, and all of a sudden a disco ball comes down, and they change the lighting, and the room where they were going to make a presentation now becomes a party room. And it's actually very relevant to our industry if you watch it and you are and you kind of understand what's going on. But and it's a subtle jab, I believe, at people who don't program systems effectively. So but that's very relevant to what I would imagine a user would feel, uh, is that they're going to press something and it's going to mess things up, or it's going to make something happen that they don't know how to change or undo. And that to me, I think, is the big crux there. As you mentioned, additionally, with a button panel, you look at a button panel, you could take it all in. It's not going to change.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And there's only a certain number of buttons. It's kind of like your remote control. There's a certain number of buttons. If you get into a situation where you're pressing a button and it's causing things to change or shift in some regard, where like in a universal remote, that could be a little trickier. But um, as you mentioned, it's pretty static and probably more comforting.
Yeah. And I think now that I think about this also a little more, I think a lot, taking what you said, kind of goes back to how things used to be. And so stay with me as I go down this path. It is, I think early on there, and I'm talking about real early on, there was a lot of bad designs. There were a lot of, AV was not as it is nowadays. I mean, even microphones weren't as good. And now we have improved our designs. We have great UX, user interfaces as well. We have microphone. I'm going to hamper on microphones because it's relevant in my head right now. That are very sensitive, that can pick up audio, but people still eat the mic because they feel they need to be on top of it. And then that actually causes more problems. And they don't realize, hey, I can be back away from the mic. It's still going to pick me up. I can still talk normal. I mean, I was so laughing. Like one of the space I did and I tuned and everything was working great. And the idea with microphones or audio is you really shouldn't know that you're being amplified. You should be able to have a conversation with people and just like you're with them, but the audience there. But we're so accustomed to hearing ourselves being amplified that when you do it the right way, people are like, is it mic on? Hello? They don't understand it because they're not accustomed to it. And like I said, this is years, like probably 20, 30, 40 years ago, and we have evolved, but as society, we haven't evolved from those old days. I still think that is with the tactile. We like our tactile, comfort. Prime example, I've heard this on a podcast, is Think about when you're driving and you're listening to the radio and a good song comes on, maybe one of your favorite jam. You have a lot of touch buttons and toggles and stuff to raise the volume. But what does everyone grab? The knob and turn it because you really want to hear that tune, or vice versa. Hey, I need to lower this guy. I need to hear what's going on. That quick, I know this is going to do it. Get to me where I need to be. Where, yeah, I know control the volume. Otherwise, but we all do it. Even myself, I find myself like, oh, I love this song. I grab the knob, turn it up, even though I have the volume control right on my steering wheel. And I've used the volume controls all the time, except for on those occasions.
Very interesting. The the I I'm curious if that's a generational thing, but it's certainly valid and certainly something that I agree. You know, it gives you confidence and comfort to say that this is going to get me the results I'm looking for, and when and I turn it as much as I want to, and I'm listening for the feedback, not necessarily looking at a readout or looking at some type of a display to determine how loud it should be.
Exactly. And going the generational thing, not to harp on that too much, but I actually feel I find it interesting is this younger generation who have grown up and around tech all the time. I feel they're not as comfortable with the technology.
Hmm.
I feel like you think about when tech first came out, people tinkered, they played around. Nowadays, it's like, oh, my computer doesn't work. I'm just gonna get rid of it and go get a new one. Like it's throwaway. Devices, like I hear with the phones and stuff. Oh, it's a throwaway, even though it's a lot of money. People don't go, let me see if I can fix this. Let me dive into it. Like, so I don't think we're as vast with the technology as people think the younger generation should be, because I don't think they're familiar with it.
Well,
It's more, this is my way of life. This is how I do things, but I don't know how to fix it. If it doesn't work, I throw it away and get a new one.
you and I talked about this on a previous episode. It's been some time and probably worth revisiting, but that's a great conversation because we went through the DIY and putting it all together to make it work, and now it's just assumed to work. And if it doesn't work, it's broken. And there really isn't that same troubleshooting mentality, or possibly even the troubleshooting ability, not necessarily with the person, but in the product. It just it may work or not, and
Yep.
but and that's a conversation that we've had. Well, one thing I wanted to throw in before we wrap this up is the idea of touchless control. Is that something also that is a factor in having less touch panels? Certainly COVID had been a big um, catalyst for doing less touching of things. And I think that while that has eased a bit and people have gotten a lot more comfortable, the idea of walking into a room, automating the technology, doing things based on sensors, doing things based on um, plug signal detection and so forth, is that still something that is a reality and is something that users are seeking, or was that something that was just a sign of the times?
I I'm torn on that to answer that because I know there are places who do it very well and stuff. I don't. I actually feel that people are probably less comfortable with that stuff. Um, I mean, like, okay, going to the whole I plug my laptop in, let's have the system turn on. It's a great feature, but to me, I look at that as the system is telling me what to do. I'm not to telling the system what to do. What if I plug my laptop in, but I'm not ready to display it yet? Well, the system told me I need to display it because I plugged it in. Um, Voice control. I know there's a lot of talks back and forth with the whole voice control, and I don't know. Like I have devices at home that are voice control. They don't always listen. I don't know how many times I have to give it the same, the commands are right. They just don't listen. Or, even the creepier part where you don't give it a command and it's like, I don't understand. And they're like, wait, I'm not even talking to you. Um, or you may not even be talking. And then you're really creeped out, like, what's going on in this place? So, in the middle of the night, you're trying to sleep and you hear your home device go, I don't understand. And you're like, uh-oh, what's going on? Thinking about that in the middle of a room. If you're sitting there taking an exam and the system goes, I don't understand, and you're like, now you disrupt your exam because now you had this audible system to come over. So yeah, I don't me again, no data. This is my opinion, my observation. I'm not a fan of them because I feel there is the system telling you what to do, and you're not telling the system what to do.
I would agree with you a lot in that regard. I think there's a lot of hype and excitement and cool factor around automating. But if you're concerned and afraid that something's going to happen by touching a touch screen, imagine what it's like if you walk into a room and stuff starts happening, or plug in your laptop and stuff starts happening, and you have no way of knowing what to expect, why it happened, how to change it, how to undo it. To your point, you may not be ready to share. And also, there's just no way of being able to override it if you kind of go down that path. And it to me, I think you put it really well, as you're giving control over to the system rather than having it in your own hands. And I think that that's probably not the best place to be. One thing I could think of is that if we start to see AI play a bigger role in AV and start to be able to anticipate and interpret and be more gathering information and be more make more intelligent choices, that's when I think we might see a compromise there where the AI could get to understand how the system should be used, or at least be more predictable in what should happen. I'm impressed with what I'm seeing from AI in those regards, and the responses that I get when I use it. So I could hope that when we can apply it to AV programming at some point in the future, we may have more intelligent systems and more systems that are customized to users.
Yeah, I'm still on the fence there with the AI. I play with AI. I definitely dabble in it. I see the benefit of it. My my hesitation with looking at it for putting it into AV control is going back to the same the system now is telling me what to do and not me telling the system what to do. I mean, yeah, AI, it's predictable. I mean, look at GPS. That's all prediction. It's like we feel this is the best route for you. I mean, times people actually follow the GPS letter. Some people are like, oh, I know this area. I can, if I go this route. And, sometimes the GPS is right, sometimes it's wrong. I mean, we've seen people turn on train tracks because the GPS told them to. Um, I still have other thoughts there. I mean, be a fan of The Office? Look at Michael Scott, who drove into the lake because the machine told him to. So it's definitely that's where I'm a little hesitant with the whole AI is because it's taking away control. Like I use GPS, but I also, I'll look at the map and there's times I still remember, you may know this road very well, Steve, the 539 in New Jersey
Yeah, I don't.
Route 539. Oh, it goes for the Pine Barrens itself. It's um pretty nice road. Well, I know that road back in my hand. I was coming back from North Jersey. I was near that road, And I had the GPS on just because I was doing that kind of like to know traffic and all that stuff. And the GPS kept telling me to go to the highway. I'm like, no, I just shoot down this road. I'll be home, no problem. And he kept telling me, go. I'm like, I'm not listening to you. No, it turned out the road was under construction. So it's down to one lane. And I was like, I should have listened to the GPS. But at least I had that choice. I had that choice to make where I feel what people are expecting with AI and especially in AV is that we're giving away our control and giving it to the AI to do it.
Yeah. I, I could see where it can be positive and then negative, and it certainly, and being that we really are just scratching the surface, it's really hard to tell. But to your point, um, it's important to understand what where you're going, where you and be able to gut check things and to be able to have an idea of what makes sense rather than being just following instructions and doing what is being told to you. And I think that's a great analogy. And I happens to me a lot is that when with the GPS, if I get a route that I'm not used to, I'll go and check. I'll say, did I put in the right address? Let me just make sure. Did,
Yeah.
what are these instructions? It happened to me last night, quite honestly. I never would have gone the route that I went, and I was simply going home from a place that I knew, but I like to always have the GPS on. And likely it was I was avoiding some sort of traffic. It was bad weather, so I just trusted it. But but to your point, it's hard to put your hands in hard to put your faith in the hands of a machine. So this is a great conversation, and I think that it's something that we can all probably relate to. You know, whether it's a touch screen, whether it's AI, whether it's touchless control. Um, there are definitely pros and cons, and there's also if we really unwrap it, some core reasons as to why one approach is favorable over another, or and what it comes down to is listening to your users honestly. So that's probably a good way to wrap this one. James, how can people get in touch with you? How can they continue this conversation and also keep up with what you're doing?
Again, you can find me by Googling me. I'm on X as AV_James King. I'm on LinkedIn, the Ask the Programmer community. Anything with HETMA. Again, Google me, you'll find me.
For me, you can reach me at Steve Greenblatt on social media, and my company, Control Concepts, is a supporter of this show. And if you want to get some free downloads that are building blocks that you can use in your programming, whether you're interfacing with product or you're trying to add some functionality or do some programming a little easier, you can find those at controlconcepts.net. Um, if you haven't already, you can check out this podcast in the video version on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, you could check out the audio version in your favorite podcast player. We're in both places, and we are trying to cater to listeners and viewers in both areas. So join us in the AV in the Ask the Programmer LinkedIn group, as James mentioned. That's where we post about episodes and we have conversations. It's a great place to meet other listeners and network with other programmers and share some ideas and ask questions and get involved. If you want to reach out to us and be part of the show, whether you want to share some feedback or a topic for discussion or even be a guest, please don't hesitate. We do want to hear from you, and we do want to continue to deliver the type of content that is appropriate for this community. So until next time, this has been Ask the Programmer.